We're up in Goole in Yorkshire to swap out a high heat silicone air input pipe for copper because it had been fitted so that it was touching the back of the stove and had melted. The pipe is rated to 250 degrees centigrade, so it's fine as long as it has some clearance, but it can't be touching the stove. John, the installer, was actually repairing some displaced tiles, so had the stove out, which did make it even easier. He'd done a lovely job building the airline into the false back of the chimney, so we dropped the copper down into the cooler air near the floor and connected the silicone pipe before it went into the wall. It does just need to be clear of the close direct heat. The 90-degree brass connector actually makes it easier to keep the connection tight so that the stove can be closer to the back of the chimney breast, so it's a good way to do it for this sort of installation. We're over with Phil and we have changed the silicone tubing for copper because it was very, very close. In fact, John has, because there was a lot of heat going back, he's actually moved the stove slightly forward, but we've got clearance, dropping the copper down the back and just keeping it away from the thing. So what was happening was it was actually pinched between the back of the stove and the wall, so it was actually touching it, and that's where it's essentially just cut it. But now it's working again.
Yep, so we had the stove installed about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we had the Recoheat working for a week, and the change in temperature in the whole house, I was gobsmacked. I just did not expect it at all. When obviously the plastic pipe stopped working, straight away we could feel a temperature drop in the whole house. It just wasn't circulating through the house. But yeah, I'm just so happy to get it fixed now. It's been absolutely brilliant. I don't even have to use the central heating anymore. I just use the stove. So I've got temperature thermometers all around the house. And when the Recoheat is on and the stove is on, every room around the house is like 21 degrees. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's the best money I've ever spent. It's the best money I've ever spent, and I can't recommend it enough. It's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant.
Fantastic. So you've got a really good layout. So you've got stairs outside the door.
Mm-hmm.
But how many bedrooms is there?
So there's 3 bedrooms upstairs, and obviously when the Recoheat house, we just keep all the doors open, and it just goes through the house.
Right.
It's crazy. I didn't expect it to work that well, but it does.
Yeah.
I was gobsmacked. I was like, wow. Yeah.
Oh,
so
brilliant.
it's like if you're spending, how I saw it was, if you're spending £2,500 on a stove for an extra £300 to have that effect, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Absolute no-brainer.
And fuel-wise.
Yeah. So I'm quite lucky at this moment in time. So I can get a ton bag of wood for like £30 to £40. Which is brilliant. Right. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's a hell of a lot cheaper than gas at this moment in time.
Yeah. So when you, how long does it take to get the heat going through the house once you light the stove?
So the actual Recoheat itself is instantaneous. As soon as the fire's started and it's hot, but the house warms up in about an hour max,
right.
And you can feel a difference in the house, yeah.
And what do you do timing wise? Do you just switch it off when you go to bed, or do you leave it running at all? Or?
So obviously, if I'm sat in this room here and I'm watching a film or something, I just turn it off at the wall. But at first, I found it quite annoying at first, but then you get used to it and you don't hear it anymore. But yeah, I'm used to it now, and half of the time I don't realise that it's on. It's only if I'm watching a film, for example, and I want a bit of peace and quiet, then I'll just turn it off at the wall. But we don't use this room much, so obviously that's just constantly on, and it's pumping the heat around the house.
But at night, what do you do with it? Do you switch it off when you go to bed, or do you?
It's off. It's off on the night.
Yeah.
We'll just put some coal in the fire to keep it in for the next morning, so we can reignite it when we wake up. But that's it. Yeah.
Oh well, that's dead chuffing.
Yeah, brilliant.
It's brilliant. No, and John's done a lovely job with it, hasn't he? The whole thing. So it's fantastic. Thank you very much, Phil.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name's John from J Hemsworth Home Improvements, and we've just installed this stove into Phil's house, and we've installed the Recoheat system. And I'd like to just say, I think it's an amazing product. It gives out near enough instant heat straight away. Once you light the fire, you can feel from the air outlet at the front very warm heat coming out straight away. What it was only being wasted up the chimney, it was being sent up the chimney. So for the let's say on an install, on a small install, it's maybe 10% of the money more. You're going to generate that money back very quickly from how much you're saving on your fuel. So yeah, I'd like to just thank yourself for coming and showing us what to do. So is there any questions?
I mean, what's the install involved on the new?
The install was very easy. It was no real difference time wise. I'm going to say an hour for the initial install of it. It's, as I say, an added 4-inch collar, let's say, there on top of the stove. So it just means working out the pipe difference, taking off 4-inch off your flue pipe, inserting it straight in there. The only difference then is because we're now installing a tube into the wall, and you want to make it tidy. You know, you can do a rough job, but if you're going to make it tidy, installing a copper pipe into the wall to protect the tubing, so that if there was anything to drop, or when you're plastering it, that the pipe doesn't collapse, we install it into a copper pipe sleeve. So we sleeved it into the wall, and that literally took, I'd say, no time at all, because the room was getting plastered anyway, and we're tiling behind the back of the stove, so that took no real time. And then, as I say, we've connected it nicely behind there with an elbow, so the elbow reduces the distance we have to have at the back. Yeah, it was very easy to install.
So you used 15 mil and sleeved the
yes, I used 15 mil copper pipe straight through the wall, through the side of the chimney breast there, and only because in this specific house we put the pump outside, we ran the 15 mil copper straight through the wall, so that, as I say, it sleeved it and protected it if there was anything to drop and crush the pipe. But very easy to install that. Yeah,
that's a lovely job.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
And as saying that the pump outside is outside on this property, so it's been installed with a fuse spur there rather than a separate plug, which gives it a nice little detail on switching it on. But yeah, very impressed. Very impressed.
Fantastic.
Yeah.